Glad to have you rejoin us on the program. It's still Market Scope 360 brought to you on the stables of Zoe Multimedia Studios. And we're about to start off our conversation segment. And like I did say, we have two bumper conversations lined up for us. And I already have my guests all waiting, all right, to be part of this conversation. And we'll be starting off with a conversation around this despicable act of, manipulating of fuel pumps at filling stations by fuel attendants and who is checkmating them and all of that. And joining me on this conversation is Emmanuel Chime, who joins me live from Enugu State, Nigeria. And it's really a pleasant, experience to have you join me. Welcome, Emmanuel. It's good to have you join me.
All right. Thank you very much, Obon Kings. Thank you for having me. I'm quite obliged being right here
Right,
with you
right.
on the show.
Welcome. It's a pleasure,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
Thank you for joining
It's
me.
been a long time.
Quickly,
Thank you.
your thoughts, really, because of we're trying to squeeze two conversations in one. Quickly, this issue of pump adjustment by, fuel station attendants have become a recurring decimal. But the question is, and I literally think is biting deep into the pockets of Nigerians as well. Will you say that there is a possibility of a way to checkmate all of this, really?
Okay. Yeah. There is a way to get it. I mean, count. There is a way to put a total stop to this abnormality. There is a way. Remember, there's something that happened in Singapore some decades ago, and that was how Singapore got rid of corruption in their society. When you're talking about what is happening in the area of pump attendants in fuel stations, then you talk about the the issues in our society in general. Will you take it away from our neck? Anyway, we're gonna get to
Right.
that.
So,
But remember, now, if you take it to what happened in Singapore, how they got rid of corruption in their system, got rid of short chain cheatings in the process of things in their system, is by the reason of punishing the man at the top. Some time ago, the leader rightly traveled, leaving the country, for just a personal friendly visit, outside the country. And by the time he returned, the system arrested him, dealt with him, and threw him out of government. I'm talking of their topmost of their president. All right. Do you know what happened? All the directors, all the permanent secretaries, all the heads of industries, all the heads of organizations in the country, everybody adjusted. All right. And so if we want to get our things fixed here, no, begin to fix it from the top. All right. Because you may want to know, how do our president, the president we have today, how did he manage to get into office? And so you understand that our president rightly told us that it's not by, you don't win an election by, proper means of electioneering. Instead, you don't win an election by proper means of electioneering, but instead you win by snatching it, by stealing it, by grabbing it, by running with it. And that's exactly what he did. And that's exactly what we are seeing even in the area of, pump attendants at fuel stations. And so we cannot just fix it there. If we want to fix it, then we begin to fix it from the inside.
sadly, there's actually a section of Nigerians who think that the agency is responsible to of putting these things in check, checkmating all these things. The government generally are actually culpable, in these manipulative acts. What are your thoughts?
Okay, yeah, yeah. What are you saying about the people talking, our people, the authorities that are meant to, that is regulatory authorities that are meant to actually checkmate on all this, that they are becoming culpable? The truth is that it is not lies. It is not lies. It is something verifiable, sir. Why I would say so is that, see what happened that was in the last election, 2023, for instance. The people we are supposed to actually complain to INEC, complain to that judiciary and report that this this happened in the real sense at the polling unit. But what we are seeing is not exactly what happened in the polling, but it was the INEC that rightly uploaded, including human pictures, on their iRef and told us that those are the results. So, for goodness sake, what do we say about that? So when the people sees all these ugly realities we are living with, if they say the regulatory authorities that they are part of what is happening, then I wouldn't say that they make mistake. Because in our society here, we see where authorities are partnering with, some chunk of criminals in our society, to practice what they do, and nobody questions them. Nobody questions them. In other words, those that were meant to question them are the ones that rightly either take bribe or just take side, just to make sure that those ills are being covered. The truth is that if the authorities wants to do the job for which they were being constituted, they can actually get that done and done perfectly well. You know what? It will simply take them, if they want to go for investigations, for inspections, so to say, then they can always get that done without prior notice. But you discover that these guys, when they want to come, they will give the players in the field the prior notice that they are coming, and perhaps you know what, they will simply go package them a handout, that brown envelope, and keep by the side. And by the time they comes, they are being taken to a particular cool AC fitted office, and they are there cooling off, and things are done, and they leave. Nothing happens again. All right, and so by the time they will simply be shown what they expect to, or what they want to show. They will simply be shown what the attendants or the owners of those very fuel stations want to show them. Okay, and that's just it. And so for them to be able to detect the errors on ground, it becomes so difficult. And perhaps away from that, what are the deterrents for those that are being caught cheating the society? What are the deterrents? If we begin to talk about that, seeing deterrent being suffered by these culpable ones, and so before you know what is happening, others will hear about that and they will stop cheating the society. They will stop it. Entirely, they will stop it. Okay, but so long as those that commit such offenses are not being handed down punishments, then you see it continuing.
I get that. Now, while I know that they cannot be everywhere at the same time, what would you say, or what can you say rather, about the owners of these filling stations who encourage this despicable acts?
Yeah. Yes, Obong, when you say the owners of the various fuel stations, I think we should be looking at how much are they paying their attendants. I think we should be looking at that. Yeah. How much are they paying their attendants? How much? If you look at that, then you see that they are paying, almost nothing. And so for goodness sake, you should be able to pay your workers well, so that they don't think about only way to help themselves out by themselves. All right? So think about that, think about the amount they are being paid. Then again, it would be beautiful if the owners want to, clear themselves off from such anomaly. Then what is expected of them more is to make their payment system automated. Yeah, make it automated. That every alert that are coming goes into the company's account directly. And so whenever you want to come and say, okay, I want to claim this, I want to claim so and so money, then you'll be able to clear how and what do you want to do with the money. How did the money enter into the company's account? All right. And so for goodness sake, our governance system have a lot to do. But remember, if we are doing it, the very best way to lead a people is to show example. And so we want to see a society where our government is showing example. And that example they are showing, those that are leading will simply go by the example that
All right, I think this is a good place to leave this conversation. Thank you so much. I wish we had the luxury of time to push this conversation a little further, but hopefully we'll get to revisit this again some other time. I want to thank you profusely. Thank you, Emmanuel Chima, for joining me this evening. Thank you
for having me. Thank you. I'm quite obliged being here right here with you.
Right. In case you're just joining in, I just played host Emmanuel Chima, who is an estate mogul and public affairs analyst, and we just talked about this despicable act of full attendants actually getting to adjust their meter at the expense of Nigerians. And we'll continue that conversation in due time, but for the time being, let's switch over to the next conversation. I already have my guest for who's standing by already. to join in on the conversation. It's about the World Tourism Day, which was celebrated recently. And incidentally, I'm interested to know that Nigeria celebrated it. And the question is, what gains of tourism have we really seen in the country? And what can be done better? And joining me in this conversation, all the way from Enugu State, Nigeria, is Emeka Odom, who is, just so you know, he is actually a tourism expert and a public affairs analyst. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. It's always a pleasure to talk about tourism in Nigeria.
Yes,
Thank you.
So quickly, because I know we're, for the lack of time or the wanted, we need to, do this as quickly as possible. What are your thoughts, really, from your perspective as a tourism professional? How would you rate Nigeria's tourism industry?
Now, number one, we must understand what tourism is and the huge impact tourism has, in the economy of any nation. A lot of arguments have gone forth that beyond oil, that tourism is one area. In fact, as a matter of fact, the technology industry and the tourism industry are moving at par. If tourism will not overtake tourism, will not overtake technology. Tourism is one industry that can give oil, match oil, naira for naira, dollar for dollar, and sterling for sterling. Number one, we need to update on our facilities. First of all, we need to look at the natural resources that God has put in this country, the reserves. Whether they are game reserves, live game reserves, or they are all aquatic aquatic resources and blessings that God has put there, or they are other beautiful landscapes and other places that God has built in this country. We need to, these are destinations, these are points of attractions. So we need to improve on these things, make them attractive, see what we can do without altering their natural geography, because that is actually what makes them special, where beyond the work of man. Now we need to create an environment of relaxation, in an environment of attraction around all these things, so that people can come, people can say, oh, this is there, let's go and see. That is number one. We also need to maintain them, not just to build, but also to maintain them, because in this country, one of the arguments against tourism in this country is the sustainability. And in fact, in tourism, sustainability is a major issue. There are stories of beautiful facilities, beautiful attractions 10, 15, 20 years ago that is no longer there. And of course, in tourism, the older, the more attractive. So that is one point. Then another point is that now we need to also understand the concept of modern tourism. What I call the MICE, the meetings, the incentives, the conferences and events. Now these are woven around facilities and superstructures, infrastructures and superstructures that needs to be carefully planned and built. We talk about the good roads, we talk about the security network, we talk about the conference venues, we talk about many other structures that has to put in place. If you say, for instance, you are not hosting any major event, do you have the facilities? Okay, I heard Nigeria is talking about the Commonwealth Games in 2030. What plans are we making? When you talk about Commonwealth Games, that is next to Olympics. What are the facilities? How many cities are going to host it? Is it only one city? Which city is that? What is the road infrastructure in that city? What is the security infrastructure? What is the hotel infrastructure in that place? What are the auxiliary services, the transport system? What other things will sustain people? These are things. What plans are you even making to convince those who are going to give you the hosting right? Because the hosting right is not going to be awarded in 2030. The hosting right is going to be awarded way before them, sometime 6-8 years before them. What are we doing now? 2030 is just less than 5 years away. What are we doing? Do we have the infrastructure? I understand that the only stadium in Nigeria that has passed FIFA rating is the stadium in Calabar. So if that is the case, what are we talking about? So these are the many things Nigeria can do. Like I said earlier on, thanks to people like the governor of Enugu State that is updating infrastructure. But it's not only him. More needs to be done. So there's a whole lot. Get professionals together, put them in a place, let them come out with a clear-cut blueprint. I do not know what Nigeria's tourism policy is all about. Who knows it? Where is it? What is it talking about? How many people are implementing what is there? How many states in Nigeria are keen to it? These are the issues.
So from your point of view, would you say that Nigeria has anything, really, any reason to celebrate the world tourism there as well.
Okay, yes, I can see that Nigeria, of course, we have to celebrate because being alive in the very first place and as a country being in one piece is something to cheer about. It's something to celebrate. No matter the situation, things can't get to that point where you say there's nothing to celebrate. Being alive is enough, and you need to be thankful to God. And celebrating is a form of being thankful to God. While I acknowledge the fact that we can do more, we need to do more. There's more grounds to conquer. We have to celebrate. After all, I think thankfully also quite a number of natural resources that we still have here are still there. Even though we should have updated them, we should have kept them in a better condition. We should have built more facilities. For instance, I don't see any reason why a big country like Nigeria, there's no airport in Nigeria here you can really look at to say this is one of the best 10 in Africa. That shouldn't be the case. And these are all part of tourism. I remember, for people who fly, people who travel, widely, there are airports you get to, and because you have heard about the airport, when you get to the airport, you want to look around, you want to take some pictures, you want to savor your presence in that place, being there physically to see some of these facilities, not seeing them on television, just beyond seeing them on television, beyond hearing about them, reading about them, you're there physically, you feel those places. That's part of tourism experience. And so yes, there are a lot to do, there's a lot for us to conquer and afford, but I also think that we have every cause to celebrate. After all, we are not the last.
All right. So for the lack of time or the want of time, quickly, in a nutshell, I'm going to try to be as subjective as possible. Would you say, or rather, what would you say that Nigeria has really gotten right in terms of tourism growth, to the point that it actually contributes significantly, underline keyword, is significantly to the growth of the Nigeria's GDP?
Yeah, yes, what have we gotten right? Well, of course, you agree with me that one really has to, think deeply to be able to, arrive at a very objective answer in this case. Maybe our markets. Maybe, yes, we are told that the Onitsha market is one of the biggest markets, in fact, if not the very biggest in West Africa. The market in Lagos there also, the area market in Aba, and the Kano markets. Yes, these are all points of attraction, because trade and tourism are like Siamese twins. And so when people come from different parts of the world, whether it's within the West African region, come to Nigeria to buy whatever, that's part of tourism. And so yes, these markets are here, so that's also something that we can say, well, that's a low-hanging fruit. If you search around and there's nothing to hold on to, you can hold on to that one. Yes, these areas are they are good enough, and we should build on them and improve them.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. This is a good place to leave this conversation. Thank you so much, Emeka Odom, for joining me. It's been
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much.
All right, quickly, just so you know, this will be the size of the package on today's edition of Market Scope 360, brought to you by Zoe Multimedia Studios. And just so you can follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and X, with the handle at Zoe M Studios. It's displayed right there on your screen. And you can do us the honors of course, liking, turning on notifications, and subscribing to this YouTube channel. We are available at www.youtube.com/@ZapPlayhouseTV. Until I come your way next week, take good care of yourself. My name is Ubong Kings. Good evening.